And loosen up, everybody. You look so, like, scared.
What's the word?
If this is the SAPPHIC episode, then I'm gonna get limbered up here.
There you go.
All right.
Stretch it out.
Okay. Stretch it out.
Stefanya, you can just ask Taryn about her necklace. You're muted, girl. Stefanya, you're muted.
But not through Zoom.
Yeah, not through Zoom. Your mic's not working. Well, she figures that out.
I'll tell you about my necklace.
Yeah.
So, my girls and I get together every solstice and exchange gifts, and usually those gifts are from companies run by historically marginalized communities. So ours, Black community, brown communities, and so we do some stuff. My sister Des from LA got this for me, so I don't know if y'all can see it, but it's an indigenous made necklace. She got me 3 of them for solstice, and it's a local indigenous artist in LA.
Very cool. Okay,
That's
can you
awesome.
all hear me now?
We can kind of hear you. You're a little bit staticky, but
Oh Lord. Okay.
I know it's modern technology. It's
How
whatever.
about now? Is that better?
Yeah, that's
How many
better.
tech girls are in the house right now?
But it's all. I almost find like we have more like the more we know about tech, the more ways it can go wrong.
Mm,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, for sure.
pretty
Uh-huh.
much. Pretty
I
much.
yeeted most of my smart devices after I got too frustrated with them. So
I need to do that. I need to do that so bad.
I just love the word yeet. I mean that's something
it's a
that
good word.
yeah, I have adapted that from Gen Z, you know.
I only learned the meaning of that a couple of years ago.
It's such a wonderful word. You know, the estrogen makes us look younger, so we might as well start absorbing the knowledge of the younger generations. So
How very mind flayer of you.
right? I know. I turned Karlak into a mind flayer and I feel guilty about that. My next playthrough, I'm totally gonna fuck Karlak.
Oh, she's perfect just as she comes.
It
Oh,
is
I
so
know.
choice.
I did Shadowheart the first time, but she's so clingy. So I'm gonna do
I've
Karlak
not done
next time.
anything like that with any of them
No.
yet.
Oh, yeah. I need
In
to do
our
another
household,
playthrough.
we call Shadow Heart Shadow Fart because she was kind of a dick the first playthrough.
Yeah,
I
she's
mean-
just kind of a dick anyways.
Around the internet,
She
she's
really
no
is.
start. And my girlfriend, one of my
Yeah,
girlfriends,
that's fine.
hates it when I call her that.
See, here's the Sapphic stuff. So I'll do the quick intro. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Transcending Humanity. This is episode 35. We're pushing a year old already. I have to see exactly where we are in a year. I think that's sometime in March, but it's currently Valentine's Day, or I guess this would be Galentine's Day. Oh. So I'm working all these like special episodes with guests and all kinds of shit, but that requires scheduling. And like I'm working on something with the legal burnouts, and I'm working on something with getting some Ohio State legislators on, but again, scheduling. So in the interim, I'm just gonna be throwing episodes together, and I might be uploading more episodes than usual if I start getting these special episodes and throwing them here. I don't know what's gonna be going on. So on Monday, I put out a call on LinkedIn and Instagram to do a trans femme episode and asked to see if anyone wanted to join us. And I have this group of lovely ladies. You recognize Taryn. You might know Riv from the Trans Spotting podcast and my thirsty comments on a lot of her posts because I've been trying to get in her pants for the past few months. Just like, you already know I've been trying to get in Taryn's pants. So maybe just a little triad there. But so we're just going to be sitting here and just having kind of just a horny whatever. I don't even know what we're going to be doing. This is just Riv suggests we call this Sapphic Sparta. So so that's just what we're going to be calling this. We're just going to be just having fun, and you can just kind of get to know what goes on in the heads of trans girls, which
I'm
is
so sorry.
yeah, I don't really know if a whole lot goes in our heads, but whatever. So I'm just gonna go around. Everyone do a quick introduction on who you are, like 15 seconds or something. So we'll start with Charli.
Hi, I'm Charli Kate. I use she, they pronouns. I'm a small business owner in the tabletop gaming space and just a general nerd all around. I brought everybody a Valentine's Day
Aw,
card today.
That's
From my
adorable.
daughter. It says, I'm over the rainbow for you. So,
Aw.
hi, everybody.
hi.
Okay.
Stefanya.
Okay, hi. Stefanya Poesi. I've been transitioning for about 5.5 years now. She, her pronouns, work in IT. Not sure what else to say.
You're here. You're
I'm-
queer.
Here I am. This is me.
Taryn.
Hi, y'all. Marketing leader and part-time trans menace, sometimes full-time, depending on the trolls.
Always full time. Riv.
Hi, I'm Riv, short for River. I do the Transpotting podcast, producer and co-creator. And I also have a little recording artist name of Bury the River. It is metal, so, gird your loins. In my day job, which I'm currently playing hooky from right now, is an IT help desk manager. So, yeah, I'm a stereotype.
Yeah, check out Riv's stuff. Are you on Spotify too? I know you can be found on Apple Music.
Yeah, all the
Okay.
things, all the places.
Check
Your
her out.
favorite music place.
It's good. Gemma.
I listened to some of it on Spotify. It's definitely there.
Hi, so I'm Gemma, she, her. I'm technically a contracting Python developer, although my unofficial job title is corporate dom. Although that's kind of in the sense that in the fact that corporations generally need me more than I need them. Entirely work at Shell, which is my most recent disaster. Do not criticize greenwashing projects when you're working on a greenwashing project. First time I've been fired in a very long time. Long story, but yes. So it was not part of the master plan, but I was happy in the end. I left. So, but yeah. So that I'm trying to think of anything else useful at this moment. Also auto-ADHD. Dog auntie.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Sounds like you're not from the US. Am I hearing right?
No, I'm in England. Although I actually ran away to the US and transitioned there. I used to live in upstate New York, or technically central New York if you're not from New York State. But if you are from New York State, it's upstate New York. So if you are from New York State,
from one shitty country for trans people to another shitty country for trans people, back to another shitty country for trans people. It's just all the way around.
It's the circle of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And last but not least, and you're only last because you happen to just be the last person on my screen, Jackie.
I'm not the last person on my screen, at least. But hey, y'all, Jacqueline Cook. Jackie's fine. She, her pronouns. I also reinforce a stereotype working in IT. I lead a team around the world delivering apps and websites to banks and credit unions. And then on the side, I teach at local universities, including a little local Catholic university. That's an adventure of changing legal documentation.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And play on a women's pro sports team on the side too.
Yeah, we should talk more about that because that's kind of, as I said, top energy. But yeah. Well, now we're at the awkward pause. What the fuck did we talk about?
So I've got like 2 things I wanted to share.
Yes, do it.
So I know as we all journey through life, right? And kind of just, we're holding our own, we're doing our jobs, we're doing our activities. It's hard for me to always understand the impact that I have on others. In the last couple of weeks, I had 2 really nice conversations. So I was in Utah a couple of weeks ago, probably my last trip there, if they passed that bathroom bill. And, I was talking, so I was starting a marketing summit, it was 40 attendees, a lot of CMOs, CEOs, stuff like that. And one of the guys who's the CEO of his company, his child just came out as trans. So over the holidays,
Really?
he introduced him to the entire family, right? Very supportive parent, amazing, right? And he turns around to me and goes, "Hey, I just want to let you know, you're an inspiration. Like I send your social post to my son
Mhm.
so they can see like just the visibility and some of the arguments and what you're fighting for." And I was like tearing up a little bit, right? Because I turned around to him and I was like, "Listen, there's a lot of misconceptions about trans youth." I said, as a parent of one who's incredibly supportive, can you get more active in the game? Like,
Mhm.
we need you out there, right? We need you to advocate. We need you to, like, you, all of us can sit down. Sorry, I'm hitting my mic. All of us can sit down and just talk about trans youth, right? For me, I jumped back in the closet as a youth, right? And just tried to, I hide to survive. So I came out at 50. And so we can sit here and talk about what we think for gender affirming care, but when you're in it, I think it's very powerful. So I had that one. Then yesterday, I had a friend of mine who I met in October of 2022, and she starts going off this really weird call, and she's like, "Listen, you were like the first trans person I really got to know and became friends with and stuff." I was like, "Okay." I'm like, "Girl, just get on with it. You're about to say something. Just what is it?"
Mhm.
She's like, "My child just came out as trans." And she said to me, she's like, she's relatively religious and Christian, and I'm a pagan.
Mhm.
Um, and I respect what she believes. And she said, "I believe God brings people into our lives for a reason. And I think knowing you over the last year and a half has helped me handle and react well and understand things through your eyes and through your just kind of what you share, right? And you've educated and you share these resources and stuff, and that really has helped me." So it was a kind of an interesting conversation, but I felt better prepared by knowing you. So I had some impact on people. So I was really happy. So it was kind of just a little validation, right? On we don't know what our impacts are. And when it comes to me and it comes like, they share that with me, I'm either crying or like just like thanking them. But it's nice to know that there are people that listen, that, we're helping. We might not think we're helping them, but we are. So just kind of want to share that positive note. And
That's refreshing as all fuck.
Is.
Right?
Ugh. It's so rare for us to get like good news from that because we just get deluged by all just the
Yeah.
negativity constantly. So knowing that people actually like seeing and hearing us and what we have to say, and that it's actually making a difference. It makes our activism worth it,
Part at a time.
yeah. So I mean, it's one reason we do this show. If we can help one person, it's worth it. So badass, Taryn. Well done.
thanks. I was
It's
just really
especially
happy.
nice in the like political climate going on.
Yeah.
Vanessa, I know you're no stranger to it, but with the passing in our state in Ohio, Vanessa and I both live in Ohio at least. It's awful. And like I have two children who are trans in some capacity. The youngest one, she's a sophomore in high school, right? Like she started transitioning like in middle school and stuff, and just it's been really enlightening getting to see like the world she's going through versus the world I went through.
Mhm.
And then all this political garbage is like, nope, don't lay hands on her. Leave her alone.
Yeah, I know. Okay, how about something?
I was going to say there's another awkward pause.
Yeah, like less
Oh,
depressing.
come
Or
on.
I just looked at myself and I saw my mother, and that completely fucked with my brain.
I get it. Yeah, I see my mom's
Oh, yeah,
my
me too.
and that's
Yeah.
Mm, I hate my mother.
I do not want to be my mom.
No, my mother's a piece of shit. So, but like just looking at right here, I'm like, oh, the pre-transition, I look like my dad. Post-transition, I look like my mom, which just goes to show like we are our parents.
Yeah, I
Fuck.
started pre-transition, look like my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look like anybody now. So, but grateful for my mom for those gifts she gave me up top and down below.
Oof.
Yeah, I don't
Pre-transition,
think
I look just like my mother, and I transitioned just so I wouldn't look like her anymore.
Interesting.
Amazing.
Um, so, um, so we've all been transitioning for Stefanya, you said you're 5 years in?
5.5.
5.5.
My
I'm
anniversary was last September. That
so
was
we're all at least, is everyone here at least like 2 years in at this point?
I'm coming close to 6, but yeah.
Mhm.
2.5.
Dang.
I transitioned. Oh, that makes me feel old. I think I transitioned in 2009. Yeah,
Wow.
2009.
Good for you.
You're the elder.
Mhm.
Well,
I
I'm like,
think-
I haven't. I wonder, like, how do you define transition? When, like, to me, it feels like it's a lifelong process. It's not like,
Yeah.
oh, well, today
Yeah.
I'm now trans, and yesterday I wasn't.
I guess I'm saying like when you start medically, I would, which I know it's elitist of me really to say even because
Yeah.
we're just
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Okay.
it's
Well,
like, it's a
Vanessa's an
nuanced
asshole.
conversation.
It is a nuanced conversation. Vanessa's
a
an
nuanced
asshole.
conversation. That too. Yes.
Yeah, but I know there's no one way to transition. So
I'm-
Yeah.
It's 10 years for me on a social transition. So I started building out social profiles and kind of just getting out there when I
Mhm.
knew. And so my things all started in 2011. So I kind of like got that native, thumbs up to proceed. And 2013 was when I came out socially. So it's been about 10 years. But for me, HRTs, how would I count? And that was, I think it was September of 2018.
Yeah, I had to do that whole, like, you gotta live as a woman without, like, bullshit
Mhm.
before you get it started. So it's like, I came out at work, I came out social, I came out to everyone, like, social media and whatever, without having to, like, start HRT for a bit. And then I finally started, I don't know, probably 8 years or something on HRT. I don't really keep track close without thinking about it.
I think I'm the baby here.
I kind of did it a little backwards. I didn't socially transition until after I'd been on HRT for almost a year.
Mm.
Yep.
A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
I
I'm the
hear
only
that a lot.
okay. Makes me feel less alone. So
I'm seeing
No.
it more and more.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a safety thing too. So I hear a lot of
Yeah,
people doing
especially
that.
in red states. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
I'm starting with, like, more informed consent models where it's like you can go in not visible, not
Mhm.
presenting, and
Mm.
kind of get things started rather than like, hey, look, I'm a giraffe walking around in the grocery store with this, like, wig on and these clothes on. I'm like awkward middle school girls' ears, public,
Mhm.
dramatic.
What was really scary for me was before I transitioned, I didn't know a single trans person. Like I flew blind on a lot of it, and it wasn't until Twitter, I think back when it was still somewhat usable, if that was ever really the case,
Mhm.
is when I was like, oh, okay, starting to get to know people and
Mm-hmm.
going through that whole thing.
It's the entire thing. I'm definitely the baby here. Wow. So it's like
Yeah.
I had this slightly weird experience where I didn't have the limitation. Basically, I started DIY hormones and I ended up in hospital with a blood clot in my lung.
Oh dear.
But I don't mind it because I was basically I was suicidal at the time. Getting the DIY hormones was the only thing that didn't get me function. That was the only way I could function. So even though I ended up with a nice little scar in my lung, that was so basically I had to wait like a year, or was it a year? About a year before I ended up getting on hormones properly. And then like they had to be very careful.
Mm.
And then like I was still on blood thinners for a while. And they found out I had a genetic clotting disorder that disappeared, that's a whole other story.
Interesting.
But yeah.
Well, it's good it disappeared. That's badass.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How old were each of you when you first knew? I was about 4 or 5.
New's a fraught thing for me because I really didn't come out to myself as this is who I am and what I wanted until 2016 at age 56.
Mm-hmm.
I did that in therapy. One day we were talking about something. I don't even remember what the topic was, but I don't think it had anything to do with this. And I just suddenly kind of blurted out, I've never really much liked being a man. And my therapist was, I appreciate it. She did not let me sweep that back under the carpet. And we just kind of kept digging.
Good.
And I got to the point where doing it. But you know, in 2020 hindsight, I can see I had lots of hints across my whole life.
Mhm.
And, you know, the things that I was interested in, the things I wasn't interested in, the things, you know, the kind of sort of vague wishes that I had about, you know, being able to transform myself and being much more comfortable around girls and enjoying girls' games much more. So, I mean, like I said, hints, but, you know, I didn't really put two and two together until 56. So that's me.
I was going to say for me, it was probably about 11 or 12.
Mhm.
But I will admit this, that I don't admit this in many forms. So I'm going to go public with this one.
I was gonna say you're live now, girl.
Yeah, I know. So I talked when I was 8, 9, and 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Just did not like that. It just didn't, life didn't feel real to me.
Mhm.
And like it felt more comfortable to talk, believe it or not, prior to puberty. And then around 11 or 12, I started questioning both sexuality and gender.
Hmm.
But there weren't a lot of really good trans, like visible trans people back in the 80s, right? It might as well have been the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
It was more sensationalized, right? Like you're cutting off body parts, blah, 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 whatever, some afternoon talk show. So I didn't really know. So I couldn't tell you if I was gay or trans or what. But I knew I had to, like, you know, once I realized I didn't have that personal support as a teenager, kind of jump back in the closet and bury myself till it pops out. Because it always,
Mhm.
whatever you bury always pops
It
through.
does. It really does. You can't shove it down forever.
Just comes back stronger.
Yeah.
I think I knew from a very young age, but there are multiple times where I was either bullied or had a traumatic experience that kind of pushed it back into the closet. Hence the plug for my artist name, Bury the River. So I'm no
Really?
longer buried. But
I never put that together.
yeah. And then I've been with my partner for 16 years, and they came out a number of years ago as non-binary. And the whole time I've known them, they've been like, she'll figure it out eventually. And you know, when they came out, I was like, this better not awaken anything in me, and it did.
Mm.
And here we are. But yeah, I've been on HRT for just over it was 3 years in November, and I'm as of January 31st, 1 year post-op bottom surgery. So
Wow. Congratulations.
I'm very, very grateful and thankful I am where I am. So in geographically as well as bodily.
Yeah, you are lucky geographically too.
Yes.
Where are you?
Yeah, Rib. I have one of those too. I have 3 like long-term serious partners, but one of them just started taking tea like 6 months ago or so. So it's been a little exciting with that. So I've like cis woman, non-binary person, and trans woman as partners, which is kind of fun.
Yes.
I feel like I knew when I was around 6 or 7, but so when I was around 6 or 7, I saw my mom doing her nails and I said, "Ooh, that looks like fun. I want you to do my nails." And something happened that night where we had to go to the hospital for I developed a high fever or something. And the doctor told my mother, "You're confusing the child. If I see you doing this again, I'm going to call CPS."
Serious?
And
What?
seriously,
Oh my
for
gosh.
for having my nails done. And right into the closet I went until I was 31, 32 years old.
I'm so sorry.
But yeah, so and still to this day, I get every time I go to do my nails, I'm still like I hear the doctor's voice in my head. It's kind of a weird it's a weird sitch.
Trauma is fucking intense and lasting. Unlike that's the worst. That fuck that doctor. I hope that doctor's not practicing anymore.
Yeah, me too.
Hopefully that doctor's
Yeah.
dead and in the ground at this point.
I was
So
gonna say at this point he's probably dead. He was an
Yeah.
old man back then, and yeah.
I don't know.
That's-
Hey,
I
these people
would say
stay alive for a while.
The child.
I hope he lived long enough to see the trans tipping point and just feel hating that was happening.
Yeah.
And not see this bit, not see the current timeline, but just back in the past.
I'm mad. Yeah.
Yeah, Gemma says seethe and cope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get a new PCP.
Mm.
I had a really good one that had a trans kid. So, and then
Really?
He left the healthcare system. And I got this
Oh,
dude
no.
who I think got his medical license in like 1958. Like literally in a face-to-face appointment, he's like, I've never treated anybody like you. I'm like, if one more doctor says that to me, I swear to God, I'm gonna call to the Vulcan ship that's orbiting low Earth orbit and just be like, beam me the hell out of here. Like, this is crazy. And this is in Kaiser in California, so
That's insane.
still get those nuggets.
I'm lucky because I have a trans G. Well, so our equivalent to a PCP is a GP, a
Mhm.
general practitioner.
Mhm.
Mine is trans, but unfortunately, he's currently in the process of building a trans stuff around trans support in Brighton anyway. But it's also the fact that unfortunately he's made the trouble of being really good at his job. So like people go to him. It's like so trying to
So he's
get an
busy.
actual appointment with him. Oh God, yes. Or Saint Sam.
As I said, I first knew when I was like 4 or 5 because I remember just remembering back really early, just saying I wish I was born a girl. And like throughout my relationships, like throughout my adulthood, I would always like tell people my deepest secret that I was born the wrong I was born in the wrong body. I should have been born a girl. And I remember in like 2005 or 2006, I saw a documentary called Transgeneration or Transgenerations, one of the two. I can't remember exactly. And before that, I didn't know trans people even existed. And that's when I actually learned trans people existed. And that's when it I'm like, holy shit. And that's when it like opened it up in my head. But being in a Christian conservative family, like I couldn't do anything. So, but that planted the seed back in like 05, 06. But I wasn't able to actually come out until my dad killed himself. Because if I had done it before then, he would have killed me. So
Unacceptable.
yeah.
No. Did
Yeah,
anybody else get exposed? Like you talk about first exposure. My first exposure to a trans person was Eddie Izzard in the late '90s. Anybody
love Eddie.
else?
I love Eddie /
Oh.
Susie. Yeah,
Um,
Eddie's.
I could
I was in a club
she's
in
slightly
London.
on my shit list at the moment, but
Really?
Oh no.
because she's running to it's a political thing. She's running for the Labour Party, which is not officially TERFy, but still like they're basically like Blair 2.0 in terms of other political stuff.
Mhm.
And they're basically we have one Green MEP, sorry, one Green seat country, and we've had Caroline Lucas, who has been the most amazing MP we've ever had.
Mhm.
She's retiring, but it's still the one Green safe seat, and Labour is still trying to run, and it's basically going to end up giving our constituency to the Tories, or it could do, because it has in the past few elections been that split voting, and it's just like it really, and she's running for that seat, and it's like, well, don't.
Now when I was, so I was probably 13 or 14 when when Dress to Kill came out, and she made a joke about being a transvestite was like being a male lesbian, and I was like, oh, that's what I am. I'll be
I've
that.
said that many times in the past too.
Yes,
Yeah.
frequently thought of myself in those terms.
Yeah. Jackie, you were about to talk?
Yeah, I mean, I know when I was younger, there wasn't like a defining point where it's like when I was 5 or 6 or something like that, because it was just like I was a kid. I was enjoying eating ice cream and watching movies with my parents and whatever. I know like in middle school, I was starting to get online dial-up internet, like AOL days. Like I had a screen name that was like a girl's name and an email address that was a girl's name. And I certainly felt more comfortable just like logging in and existing, not doing anything like weird. I was talking about like pets and video games and whatever. And high school, I didn't really talk about it much. I was born in Texas. I lived in Oklahoma. They were all kind of like rather red, rather like conservative, religious upbringing. My parents are great. I have a great relationship with them. Can't say enough good things about them, but I didn't have any exposure when I was younger either. When I was in high school, I was dating someone who I say is my only ex-boyfriend at this point in time. but he was watching The Man Show on, I don't know what network it was, Comedy Central or something like that. And there was
Yeah, I
like
think it's Comedy Central.
some prize or award, some competition where it's like your prize for winning this competition was like a date with a trans woman on this like yacht or something like that. And like she was gorgeous or whatever. And but then like he got out and was like, women in the audience, what do you think the running price of a penis is these days? Which like completely threw me off. Where it's like, oh, like a cis woman's getting a penis put on them, whatever, right? It didn't make any sense to me. So it didn't help. But then I know in university time frame, I started getting more exposure. I was part of like the LGBTQ community there. Met some people. I started dating a trans woman at one point in college too. But I started going out with some people, like, you know, different clubs and bars and whatnot. And some of them were like a little like cross dressers, not trans women. And that threw me for a loop because like this is not me, right? Like seeing kind of things they're doing, like the making a show of it and kind of like the arousal aspects of like women's clothes. I'm like, no, I just want these clothes because they'd be my clothes, not because they're anything weird, anything like that. So that threw me for a loop too. I had some stuff to work out and certainly had to get my life in good shape from like an employment perspective and housing and everything like that before I felt safe enough to like publicly come out. But
Yeah.
yeah, a long time.
Yeah, for me it was 86. So I was in a club in London and saw a gender non-conforming goddess and couldn't take my eyes off her.
Really?
My first instance, yeah, I was 18. And I think what really drew me out of the closet was, y'all are gonna laugh, but it's Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Like that's where I really like I could not stay in. It just started popping out again. So that thing I buried just surfaced like it was buried in a shallow grave in New Orleans. So
Well, I grew up in New Orleans, so lots of GNC stuff going on down there. And
I was just there for the 9th time.
oh gosh,
It is one of my favorite cities in the US. It's my little vampire city, so
amazing.
love it.
It's one of the few states I've never been to. I was talking to my son's grandfather yesterday, and he's your cishet white Christian male. He's as supportive as he can be, but he's very confused about trans people still. But like he doesn't understand it how trans kids can exist. I'm like, he's like, there has to just be outside influence. I'm like, Dan, I've known I was trans since I was a kid. I grew up in a completely Christian conservative household. I've known I was trans. I've known something was up since I was a kid. It took me until I was 40 to come out. I wish I was able to come out sooner. I said, I know trans people from all over the globe. We all have that's why I asked you all this question, because we have this in commonality. Like all of us, like at a young age, we started having this something. It's just like something is there. And
Different.
yeah, something's different. It's very, very hard to explain, to put it into words. It's extremely hard to explain to a cis person because it's not something that you can really put into words. It's our brains and our bodies don't mesh really. And it's a fight every day to kind of align those and gender not being binary. There's the binary side of being transgender, like being trans femme, but then there's also non-binary people where it just means that binary is our brains are just mush, and our brains could range anywhere from being one end of the binary to the other or somewhere in the middle. And there's no right or
It's a
wrong.
three-dimensional space,
It
kind
really
of, because
is.
I'm
Yeah.
non-binary and also trans femme.
Mhm.
So it's just as an example, and then
Yeah.
Charli,
There's
she, they, we got that kind of three-dimensional space. Like some days it oscillates. Some
mhm,
days I'm feeling more of my neo pronouns. I never try to explain them to cis people because they just will never use them.
mhm.
But yeah, there's a lot, once again, nuance,
Exactly.
and it is ineffable for cis people. It's very hard to describe to them this
Mhm.
feeling that we've had, and not everyone has it from a young age. So just to kind of make sure that we round that
Yeah.
out.
Not everyone
There are
does.
people who definitely are like, I was this gender and now I'm this gender, and that is
Mhm.
my experience. But I think a very common one is definitely what a lot of us feel, which is like,
Yeah.
I knew from a young age.
I I'm just trying to find a commonality there. So
Yeah, absolutely.
um
I try to do the thing where I
Agreed.
include everyone if
that
I
well yeah,
possibly
that's
can.
smart because my brain farts a lot on that stuff. Hey, I have that
It's hard.
exact same mug.
One thing that
Cheers,
I'll
girl.
say to these people who like
So do I.
say they don't get it, it's like left-handed people exist. You
Mhm.
didn't have like a left-handed influencer or a left-handed social media video or something like that, but like told someone they're left-handed.
Yeah.
They're just left-handed. You can't tell them you're making it up. That's internal. You can't prove it, right? You're just not trying hard enough. Just use your right
Yeah.
hand. It's absurd.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
lived in Georgia and they forced
Yeah.
me to write with my right hand. So now I am right-handed. I was born left-handed.
Seriously, they're
great.
still doing that? Oh,
That's so fucked up.
Well, they were doing it back then. Yeah, when I was a
Mhm.
kid. I'm 37, by the way. So
Yeah. I was going to say I'm also from Georgia and I'm 38. And yeah, they did it to kids when I was a kid.
yep.
That's so fucked
Yep.
up. That's so fucked
Solidarity.
up.
Mhm.
Well, here's another commonality thing. Those of you who are gamers, do any of you play with male characters?
well, that was certainly one of my hints. Was when I was
Yeah.
doing tabletop role playing, I much enjoyed playing female characters.
Every
Yeah.
single one.
Pretty much.
In Warcraft, like in all the characters I've ever had, I never made a single male one. So, because it wasn't like people are like, you just like staring at a girl's ass. I'm like, no, I just like watching a girl kick fucking ass. That's what I like, So, like, my little blood elf paladin fucking soloing a giant fucking like rock giant shit thing. Like, I don't know. That was just whatever. So yeah, that's
And really appreciating games that are bringing in more nuanced character creation systems that have more
Mhm.
representation of like different skin tones and hair types and body sizes and
Baldur's Gate.
yes, oh, absolutely.
They're wonderful with that. Like you can make you can have you can make a kind of traditionally trans femme character on there with kind of our traditional body shapes with a deeper voice and all that stuff. It's pretty fucking badass. So and you can have someone with boobs and a dick. And it's yeah, it's amazing. So but
I was an online gamer. I was into the role-playing
And
communities
it's
when I
frustrating when you're
was
playing a game like I'm a big Zelda fan. Like I would love to be able to have character creations in some of these games that don't exist, right? When you see fan art of people making like a queer or trans Link character or something like that, I'd love to see more of it
Mhm.
across the board.
Great, great.
we just need more of it, period. And I just love how it pisses people off so much. It's
I mean, Jesus, there's people in this country that actually get pissed when they see a black elf on the Lord of the Rings prequel.
Oh,
it
God, yeah.
was
Like,
I saw an article somewhere where someone modded a game um to remove like the pronouns of some character that was like I think it was a trans character or something, and then it defaulted
Oh.
all the characters to they them,
I
and
saw
it was
that too.
amazing.
There's them
Oh,
right.
I think there was one, I can't remember which game.
Yeah.
Well,
Congratulations, you played yourself.
there
Well,
was
then
there was a
it's
game where it was they had a whole meltdown around it was a gender swap binary clone of somebody, and they were like, oh no, it was like trans things like wasn't a trans character. I mean, there's like trans aspects to it
Mhm.
in terms of complexity, but that was just literally they did this whole fucked up cloning thing of like famous admirals and other skilled soldiers, and some of them were gender swapped.
Mhm. The lengths
Oh,
that people go to just hate on us can be quite comical. If you can, if you're able to just stand back and just look at the ludicrosity, whatever of it all, it can be funny. And sometimes all you can do is laugh at it, but laugh at the people trying to kill you.
But yeah, I mean, I laugh at troll stuff, right? Because I'm just like, God, you were so ignorant.
Mhm.
I'm like, you are dumb as a fucking stone. And I
Yeah.
apologize to stones in advance for the comparison. But I'm like, your English is fucking third grade. Sorry, I'm gonna drop some F-bombs. And they cannot conceive anything outside of their shallow basic understanding of life in general. I'm just like, just go away. Like move to Idaho and just wall it off or whatever. I don't care. Like just I don't know. It's ridiculous. I mean, I was watching I don't know, the Super Bowl to do, right? With the whole Taylor Swift and her satanic magic.
Right.
You've seen some of the conspiracy nuts on like X and some
Right.
of the other ones. I mean, like literally Biden was trolling them in the biggest way. And they're like, we told you it was real. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I hope aliens are real because I'm like, fuck, my bags are packed. I'm like, one to beam up, emergency beam.
Mhm.
I'm like, the rest of the away team is dead. Just send me. Like, go. I don't care what planet it is. Just take me.
Beam me up, Scotty.
So I just remember like one thing back from like I had a lot of self delusion. I didn't sort of like even consider myself. I mean, I knew a huge amount of stuff about trans people for like all my teenage years because I just needed to know this information. But one of the things that always jumped out to me was when I think I must have been like 10, 11, and I saw when Jurassic Park came out and gender change there, and I was like, hmm.
That's okay. I didn't even put that together. You're right. Yeah.
Life will find a
See,
way.
Life will
now I'm
find a
thinking
way.
about
Yeah.
I'm thinking about all of the casual trans misogyny in mainstream media growing up, whether it's like Friends or Scrubs or Ace Ventura, obviously.
Mm,
Yeah.
And God, so many I remember it leaving a bad taste in my mouth at the time, but I didn't know why. And
yeah.
I remember watching the scene with my dad of like at the very end reveal of Ace Ventura and everyone like vomiting, and I'm like, I don't understand why
Same.
what's gross. I don't understand what's happening here.
Yeah.
And I'm watching as a child, and I'm like, I'm being exposed to this utterly despicable content as
So,
a child, and it's gonna put my ass back in the closet for
Mm.
decades.
but then you
One
had,
of
I'm sorry, and you had things
uh,
like the Crying Game,
Mm.
Priscilla into the Desert, like really positive, right? I
Yes.
mean, even the Crying Game was somewhat like laughable. I thought the whole shower scene was, I'm like, come on, dude. I'm like, get it together, okay? But I felt like it was more positive. But you're right. Like Ace Ventura, like people get that for laughs all the time. And I
Mhm.
think it's because everybody was socialized in cishet, and used to seeing a little cartoon rabbit, when he wanted to schmooze or get something, dress up as like some kind of 40s bombshell, right? So
Mhm.
drag was always some kind of, I don't know, punchline or, I don't know, it makes it hard, right? Because it's like people laugh at that and it's,
Although
ridicule.
they have I think they've unofficially canonically said the fact that Bugs Bunny is gender fluid.
Yep, they sure have.
Wait. Charlie, what were you gonna say?
I was going to say actually one of my another early kind of exposure for me. Did anybody else watch the Drew Carey show?
Mhm.
Yeah.
The
I'm
brother.
from Northeast Ohio.
Yes.
Of course. And while there was always jokes, but the jokes were never, oh, you're trans. The jokes were always kind of around that. It was actually, I won't say it was 100% great representation, but it was, that character was actually kind of accepted and it was kind of wonderful. And that was an early kind of like, oh, I could be like, I think his name was Steve. I could be
I
like
forgot all
Steve.
about that. I
Yeah.
completely forgot about that.
Good callback.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not unfortunately they made her come out of the closet. They made her go back to presenting as male for reasons. And it was a really sweet kind of thing that Drew was like, oh yeah, my brother just dresses as a woman. That's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but shit, that my must have just buried that away. So thank you for that reminder. We have to look that up again.
It's sad that
There's,
show will never exist on DVD because they can't get the rights to the music, so nobody can go back and watch it again.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Huh.
There's been I don't know any Doctor Who fans, but there's a company called Big Finish who literally since Doctor Who went originally off the air have basically been doing audio adventures. and they've had like all caught up and like integrated with what's going on with the new series. But they've had two really good representations of trans characters, one who was actually in the 40s and one from modern era, both of which who met people from the far future. I'm trans, and the people from the future were like, sorry, I don't understand what the problem is. It was like these beautiful healing. I mean, one of them was like literally the character who inspired Jack Harkness long before. Literally just like kisses the girl while she's having a freak out because there's a transphobic army officer chasing her around. It's just like it's a really cute moment. But the other one was like the whole relationship set up, and it just literally it was just like they're just very the one with Liv and it's just like. It's just so wholesome and just like that kind of representation. The representation of just like, sorry, I don't understand because like even like I don't know who like we're talking about obviously dating stuff. I've had to deal with my own internalized transphobia towards other trans, like not wanting to date other trans people and things like that. And so the idea of just like cis people being a cis person who is so far beyond this bullshit, they're like, yeah, I don't understand you. Why would this be a problem for me? It's just like
it's
that kind of.
I think I've heard some Star Trek references, but Deep Space Nine, my favorite episode was still the old Klingon comes and Dax, it's good to see you. It's like, oh, I'm Jadzia now. Oh, I still love you. Come here. It was great.
Yeah.
I love that. I see it all the time.
I don't know who's watched Babylon 5. Has watched the original episode that was like the pilot where Delenn is actually a very masked figure, and most of the copies like they've dubbed over. The original when she went from like full Minbari to half, it was going to be a trans storyline or trans-ish storyline because it was a male character who was going to turn Femme as human.
Indeed.
But they never actually implemented it because obviously they recast when it went out, but yeah.
This is now a sci-fi podcast.
Also,
we're just gonna.
Has everybody seen Strange New World and the best trans character who I love, who is like, I won't spoil anything, but best trans character I've ever seen on TV.
What was it again?
Star Trek Strange New World.
Okay,
in the first season.
I love Strange New Worlds too.
It's an amazing show.
It's my favorite new Trek.
I've actually not watched a lot of the new Trek. I've been waiting to just binge the whole thing, but
Strange New World is amazing. It's so good.
Anson Mount's the captain in that, right?
Yeah.
I'd follow that man anywhere. So yeah, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
It's funny. I really didn't like him in Discovery, but that was just like there was this one bit where he annoyed me, and now I'm like,
yeah, I'm a stan now. That I'm redirecting a conversation then based on some things that Gemma said into the kind of the dating and sex and love life kind of thing. You mentioned something about something that I have felt guilty about myself, about like some internal transphobia where you've been hesitant to date other trans people. I have felt that too. And I like that's something I've actually had a lot of internal guilt about feeling. Is that common amongst us? Or
I did some work on that for myself at one point as someone who is dating a trans person. I think for me, when it initially hit, and I wouldn't even say apprehension or like negative feelings towards it, but it's like, oh, like this person has a body kind of like mine. This person has a body kind of built like mine. She's also another athlete. She's also built like larger, stronger, muscular sort of thing. And it's like, if I'm into you, then like I need to like work on some own self-acceptance stuff too, right? Like I'm seeing things on you and I'm seeing things on me, and it's like there can be some like incongruence there, but there's certainly like people that try to like reinforce negative stereotypes too about like reproduction, having kids or whatever, and I'm not here for it. I won't accept it. Right. I see like trans women are women, trans men are men, right? There's no like, I'm not dating someone because of their parts. Like, I'm going to reinforce all of the like public statements that I'll make in my own dating life. But I certainly had to like pick at it and find out like, what is it that's a barrier?
Yeah.
And it's been overall really healthy for me to go there.
I
The only
haven't,
other thing I've heard too is like, maybe you're more likely to be a little more visible, where it's like, hey, if it's just me in a crowd of like cishet, whatever people, like I might stand out less. I might be a little more like invisible, but it's like, oh, now there's multiple trans people running around together. There's like maybe a little bit of a bigger spotlight, but who cares? Trans visibility is great. Trans people are
Mhm.
wonderful. There's no like need to hide. I say this realizing that like there's still a lot of violence out there towards trans people, and it's a scary world out in the real world. So I've seen a little bit of that too.
Yeah, like I haven't done a whole lot of dating. It's been I just on the apps it's been like very not much hit, very miss with even getting matches. That seems to be pretty common experience in the trans community. And most of my matches have been with other trans people. And I hooked up with a AFAB non-binary person that actually I went to high school with, and we actually were talking outside of dating apps. They reached out to me just through Facebook, and no, we've just become very good friends, since they reached out. But and I went on a date with a trans woman, and it was lovely, but we just, mutually ghosted each other because this is, the 2020s, and that's just what you do. Ghosting is a thing anymore. But I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what my sexuality is. Like it has definitely changed since I've started estrogen, and I see a lot of nodding. I am definitely finding myself kind of more in the bi spectrum. I like I see guys, I find guys cute. I am revolted by penises though. Um, which is kind of a problem, though I do have on my bucket list to have sex with somebody with a penis, preferably a trans girl. Just because I have the parts for that now, and but I think I just
Gotta
have
check that box.
yeah, I think I just have a whole lot of just issues to work through. I sometimes wonder if I'm asexual. I sometimes wonder if I'm aromantic. I'm definitely going to get screened for autism here soon, which could probably have a whole lot to do with it too. So I just don't fucking know. But um dating is complicated, relationships are weird, and how have you all like been navigating the whole sex and relationships and things space? Have you gravitated more towards cisgender people? Like I find myself doing, I still find myself gravitating towards cis women. Um, or have you transcended humanity?
Well,
It's so different.
I'm totally sapphic in the sense that, what I find appealing generally is femme presentation. And I'm not so much concerned about crotch hardware. I find myself kind of, girl cock curious. I've been with one trans girl, and that was a lot of fun. Also been with a trans guy, and that was less so, precisely because it's, the masculine thing that just kind of makes me go, nah, I don't think so. But I mean, he was still fun, and I have noticed a shift in that while I'm not particularly attracted sexually, I do appreciate male attention. So, somebody who's coming on to me romantically, being complimentary and things like that. I mean, that kind of gets me, yeah, I like that. But it only goes so far. I mean, I'm not real interested in getting physical with them.
Boys are fun to look at too. Boys are very fun. Anson Mount.
Ooh.
There's a few on
Now,
my
So on the Anton Mount thing, he
Mm-hmm.
has such Pan vibes. The fact that when they mentioned like in the preview that he was going to meet his long lost love type thing, I was honestly surprised it was a woman because it was just like
Gotcha. Yeah, gotcha.
No, I feel like I feel like I have a little bit of a different experience because I'm still married to the person I was with pre-transition. She's been with me from beginning to where I am now.
Actually,
My sex drive just disappeared, just completely.
it's true.
And I do appreciate male attention now and maybe enjoy masculine presentation a little bit more than I used to, but I actually am starting to question whether or not I'm asexual because yeah.
Same.
I'm
Curious
generally
to see if bottom surgery will will change that. I'm kind of curious, but
Masturbation
Good
feels
for
a lot
me.
better. It's much
Yeah.
better now.
That's good to hear. Okay. I experience
I
little bottom dysphoria. I'm really on the fence about GCS.
If you're on the fence
I
about it and you don't want to do it, don't do it.
But my age too, that mean the risks of such a radical surgery, or I mean, not
Mm.
you know, and the recovery and the no real super guarantees that it's going to be aesthetic and functional, and all the maintenance hassles.
Oh.
You know,
on the aesthetic thing. So
Uh-huh.
I'm currently dealing with fat phobia in the healthcare system at the moment, which is why I haven't had bottom surgery, because I had the referrals and all the things, and it's just like that. One of the things when I went to the appointment, they actually had they had the big book of vaginas, which is literally thousands, like both cis and trans vaginas. That it was an art project that somebody in Brighton had
these
done.
lips and this clit, that's can pick and choose.
Well, no, the whole no, it wasn't so much that. No, it's more of the thing of here is the vast complexity and variety of all vaginas, both cis and trans.
Okay.
That was kind of what it was trying to say, and the fact that the idea of an aesthetic vagina is basically a construction of the porn industry, almost pretty much.
That's fair. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of fat phobia in the healthcare industry, my surgeon will not do the operation on me unless I lose 25 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Try 100.
I was right on the edge. They did it on me, but my surgeon's kind of special in that she's very trans and body positive, but she's she was also kind of had to push back against the Cleveland Clinic's kind of own internal rules, but I was above the BMI, which fuck BMI. But I was above the BMI for my surgery, but they still did it. But I was supposed to be about 20 pounds lighter than I was. She's like, well, she's like, honestly, the only real difference is your vulva is just gonna look puffier. So I'm like, that's fine. So I go
Puffy
on,
vulva.
yeah, a puffy vulva, yeah, because of fat.
no.
So
let me go get my
But-
pearls so I can clutch them.
I know. So that's pretty much what I said. So she's like, okay, let's do that. There we go. But yeah.
The trouble is, I got down to the weight, which is how I got the original referral. But in the time it took to get, because massively underfunded trans care in the NHS, basically I developed fibromyalgia, and basically my put on a whole load of weight because I wasn't able to walk as much and things like that. And I mean, my current plan is actually, because the actual hospital is actually that the NHS uses is actually nearby, and I'm fairly certain the fact that they can be convinced to take money is I'm actually my plan is to get to a point where I'm at least a healthy body weight as far as like cardiovascular and things like that, get the approval, and then I'm actually going to take the NHS to court over fat phobia.
Hey, good for you.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good. Why should it matter? I mean,
Right.
people of all different body types. Doesn't matter what sex/gender,
Yeah.
whatever it is,
They claim it's because of medical risks when it comes to being put under anesthesia for so long, especially with how they invert you on the table. So I've done a lot of digging and investigation in this, but what grinds my gears so fucking much with this is they will deny you for it, but they'll turn around in the same sentence and recommend you for another invasive surgery, gastric bypass, right? The socially acceptable surgery that we're even doing for children, right? Talk about fucking up kids' bodies.
Yeah.
We're doing it on kids 16 years old.
I can't believe they're doing that.
not ethical.
And that is major fucking surgery too.
right.
Yeah.
But it's socially acceptable because now you're going to be pretty and thin and therefore healthy.
Right.
I mean, isn't that the cishet way?
Right.
Like gender affirming care for them, but not for us.
It is.
Yeah.
Right.
Gender affirming care.
It's gonna
I'd rather
change.
have I prefer having my pussy over, but
Hey.
whatever.
I want to chime in real quick and just say that I'm a little bit poly and a hell of a lot of pansexual.
I'm not just a little bit poly, right? Like I have one partner just about 8 years, one for about 7 years, one for about a little over 6 months now. I've dated. I love going on dates. I love meeting new people. Someone's like, "Where'd you meet your last partner?" Or whatever, talking about dating apps. Like, oh, U.S. Women's Olympic football tryouts. Like, it's more fun and just connecting with people and hitting it off with people, not just like, do your interests match mine? Okay, like you can meet all my needs, I'll meet all your needs, and let's go.
Karen
Yeah.
and Jackie, did you notice any change after you started estrogen?
So I use the lesbian identity label quite a bit. I love it, but it's also like a bit of a political identity. It's not just about like who I'll date, who I'll put my face in between their legs, things like that. I will use lesbian with like the common folk. But I've always I've probably slept with more men than women. It's abundance of supply, low in demand, right? Very easy. And when it comes to like real labels, like I would say like the lesbian identity really hits on like romance perspective, right? Like I've never caught feelings for, fallen in love with a man, or at least like a cis man, because there's a whole like blurry spectrum there that's going on with like, hey, I'm dating a partner who's actually trans. And when it comes to like sexuality, I would say like bisexual, pansexual, but that doesn't cover like romance, relationships, that sort of thing. So lesbian's easy. They could weed out some stuff too.
I kind of go with I'm somewhat bisexual but homoromantic is the kind of the way and I do like the term lesbian, but also queer works as well.
Queer works great. Yeah, and I don't think that's any different from before or after. Other than like and I'm never a person to walk into like a restaurant or something. It's like, oh, like that boy's cute. But once I start to get to know like, oh, we're playing video games together, watching movies together, we're hanging out, we're playing sports together. Now it's like, oh hey, like I'm curious to spend more time with you. Like it starts to click a little bit, but it's never like pitter patter heart romantic feelings, right? So like my partner's husband has taken me out on a date before a couple times. We've gone out to movies and dinners, and that's been a lot of fun. And we have a lot of things in common, and we spend a lot of good time together. We have had sex a couple times before. It's been really, really good. And at the same time, like I don't want to make it a capital R relationship.
Yeah, at my age, the whole thing about exclusivity and all of that complication just doesn't feel very appealing anymore. I want to have some fun, get to spend time with different people, learn different things, explore what's happening with my body in terms of being with somebody that's I don't know, new.
I still want to get married again. I'd still have to cohabitate with someone eventually, maybe. It's not a requirement, but like right now I live alone. People come over. I have a giant house, like 2 stories, basement, backyard, but it's just me and my dog. And rotating sets of cast members, like people I'm dating and children and stuff coming through.
I think
I feel so-
I don't
I feel
know
so
whether I could live
boring.
with someone.
I was just gonna say I feel so boring compared to everybody else. I'm like, yeah, no, I just read a good book. That's all I do.
You are valid and
That's-
you are wonderful.
Yes. As
We're
River
all
said.
We're all part of the
Thank you,
spectrum.
Riv. Yes.
You're welcome.
Taryn, I realized I cut you off earlier.
What
I
were you,
cut
you coming off?
You were about to talk, and I was asking something, and
Well, no, I'm just like enjoying hearing this conversation. So like kind of a weird jacked up view of things myself. So I'll, like I said, a little bit poly, a lot of pan. Been with both. Post trans, like post HRT. My breasts are huge sex organs, so
Yeah.
Your breasts are glorious.
orgasming, orgasming are fucking amazing. So
Mhm.
See, post top surgery, it's like it's not as big of a deal anymore, which is a shame. Like it's just like the way things feel changed. It's not that it's fully numb, but this is like years later still. I know one time I noticed that I was like drinking probably like a bottle of Angry Orchard or something. It was cold, and I had it sitting here, and I couldn't feel it was sitting next to my clothes. But then later, like my arm brush, I'm like, my boob's cold, but I had no clue. So now I tease it's like my +2 to cold armor because I don't have a lot of temperature sensation between my boobs.
Yeah,
a lot of sensation. Yeah. It's amazing.
I
did before surgery.
I don't think I'm gonna do top surgery. I mean, I'm not very big. I only have like A cups, so I'm wearing a push-up bra right now, but I'm giving it time too. I'm only 2 years in, and it sounds like it's more like the 3-year mark that starts to happen. Plus I've been on and off estrogen too for surgeries and stuff. I'm off it again right now since I'm getting my labiaplasty on Monday. So that just fucks up the chi. But
The feng shui of the body really needs to
yeah,
settle in.
And I made the mistake of eating too much too last time when I was off estrogen, and the weight just, when your body doesn't have hormones to tell you where to send the weight, it just does whatever it wants. So it did not go to any place pretty. It just went. So I'm like, fuck. So I'm trying to lose that. But
Weight is still allowed and it's still gonna be pretty. Like it's not like weight doesn't make someone not pretty.
oh no, that's not what I meant. Like I
Okay.
I wanted it to go to my ass, but it went to just random, like it went to my chin instead, and I wanted it to go to my ass. So no, please, that came out wrong. I was I
You
I
can't pick and choose.
yeah, but
Speaking of growth, I had a growth spurt at year 4, so
oh, you did?
that's for what it is. Yeah.
Just a
So-
friendly reminder that the actual estrogen powered puberty timeline is medically described as 5 to 7 years. It can take longer than that.
Mhm.
That also includes breast growth and
Mhm.
your skeletal muscles. Those cells will also regenerate after 7 years. So everything's in flux. There's still lots of time to grow. There's still lots of time. I've heard of people who have had breast growth at year 10.
Mhm.
They went from like an A cup to a C cup in like a couple of months out of nowhere in year 10. They're just a late bloomer. Yeah. So don't worry. It's still happening.
Yeah.
It's still moving.
I'm just letting the time happen with mine. So
yeah.
I think I'm
estrogen is.
Yeah.
What's that, Taryn?
I'm on my 4th round of bras.
4th round of bras. So I'm finally just able to buy bras finally. So I was just wearing pasties forever. But what is everyone's favorite physical thing that HRT has done? For me, it's legs. I love how it's reshaped legs.
Body hair.
Body, yes.
Body hair.
Body hair.
I love my
body hair.
Getting rid of the body hair. Yeah, like that was so big. I mean, I can't say enough good things about it, but like the softer skin, like changing the face structure and whatnot, but like really getting rid of the body hair was just massive. That was awful before.
And boobs and bum.
They're great. Yes, but the body hair was bigger.
Yeah, the body hair thing, that's underrated too. So like there's so many like subtle underrated things that you don't really think about, but they just kind of happen. Like especially like my chest hair. I had laser done on my chest just once. And it was when they were doing, before they tested my face, they're like, you can get a free session done somewhere on your body. We can do one free session. I'm like, I'll just do it on my chest. And they did it once, and I haven't had any regrowth since. So
I never had it done anywhere on my chest at all, and it all vanished.
yeah, it's amazing. So except for the white hair. Fuck the white hair. But
everyone has that.
Yeah, white hair stubborn.
I had that. It's like with facial hair, and my body just was like, "Oh, you clearly the problem. This laser is targeting your the pigment, so you clearly don't want pigment. So like all the pigment goes from my face, from my facial hair, which means like laser doesn't work anymore. You know,
Like it
Inconsiderate
definitely
adaptive life.
affected my body hair here, but my facial hair, I still have to shave like I have to shave twice a day almost.
Mm,
Gosh, okay.
I
Just
do it every day, and I
yeah.
have no problem with it. I don't like doing it in front of a mirror, like at the sink.
yeah.
That's the key thing. It's like if I'm just like doing it in the shower real quick, it doesn't matter. And
Mm.
I've been dating someone who's like grown more hair on their face than I ever did. So it's like seeing them do it all the time too. It's like, oh, it's not just me.
Mm.
Ugh, face hair. I had it a full year of laser on my face. If I had a photo, I'd show you my old beard, which was the thickest thing you've ever seen in your life. And I did a full year of laser. And then the upper lip and chin was so stubborn. So I've been doing about a year now of electrolysis, and it just keeps coming back. It's coming back thinner and mostly white. But I still shave every single day and night. Like I said, Jacqueline, I can't stand shaving from a mirror, but I do it anyway. Because if I don't, I'll miss something, and then I'll have that dysphoria.
And like
But
the hand mirror feels fine. Right? It's like doing it in front of like the mirror at the sink.
yeah, exactly.
Epilator.
That's what I use.
Epilator.
Oh,
Oh,
I get too many
my
ingrown hairs with
my
the
roots
epilator.
are way too strong for that, at least on my face. My body hair is totally fine.
Actually, when I
Yeah.
first started, I couldn't do my face. And then I had this idea. I started plucking like I was fortunate that most of my beard had gone white by the time I started transition. So I didn't really have a lot of shadow, but there were a few dark ones, and I would pluck those. And sometimes I'd pluck a few other ones too at the time, accidentally. And I had the idea, well, maybe if I kind of clear an area and then apply the epilator, I can get it all there. And it took about the better part of a year, but I got it to where I can epilate my face now.
Nice.
It's painful, but I get a lot of ingrown hairs when I epilate my face, and then
That happened for a while, but it's it doesn't really anymore. So
it's funny when you tell cis girls that you epilate your face and they how white they get, because epilating's fucking painful, and facial hair is thick, and I've done I think like 15 or 16 laser sessions on my face. And I've done some electrolysis on my face. Most of my electrolysis was on my nethers pre-op. And I like to say electrolysis is the most painful thing I've ever done in my life. It is, but Taryn, I know you've done a lot of it too. So,
Yeah.
and it's the only way to get rid of the white hairs. I
Even
do
with
have
all
to
the like pain medication creams they give you and stuff. No, it's
they don't
awful.
work. Nothing works.
No.
I do like cannabis gummies and just
Yeah.
get stuck and go in there and
I
get
used to do those, and it started enhancing the feeling instead of actually making it. Like I take them for chronic pain issues, and I was like, this will probably work. And then I realized I could feel more of the needle going in because I was like having an enhanced sensation of being stoned while
No.
there.
no.
So I had to stop doing that.
I did it in combination with ice and cannabis. So I would be high and relaxed, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you, on a whim, I bought one of those nude flasher thingies for my legs, and it actually works. It's very fucking slow. I've used it on my legs and my arms. I don't use it very often enough, so it hasn't progressed well enough yet, because like I use it on the strongest setting. So just doing like one arm or one leg takes a couple hours. But my legs now are mostly hair free after about 7 sessions doing it. And that's just because shaving your legs takes a long time. And I don't know if you're like me, I have shaky hands and I just slice myself all the time. I have scars all over everywhere from just cutting myself. So if you get those ads a lot, they do work. It's just slow. So
I'm not sure what it is you said.
I give you a little information. Hold on,
it's
wait.
what?
Finish.
Oh, here, let me just go grab it 1 second.
I was going to say, if y'all have a subscription, like, or you're not opposed to a subscription service, Billy makes an amazing razor. I can do my legs in about 30, 40 seconds.
For one of those things, okay.
Yeah, it's
Is it
called
a
a
home-
nude.
Oh, it's like a home laser system.
Yeah, it's an IPL.
Yeah.
So it's like a very weak laser, but you just like put it on your skin and it flashes.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the hair went away, and it's very faint. It's very like fine, like anyone would have. My legs are basically hair free anyway, but yeah,
Yeah, so you don't
I
have to worry
remember
about it.
looking at those.
So, but they do work.
Good to know.
It's not just a placebo thing, but in case you were curious. So I don't know if some are better than others. I kept getting spam with ads, and I'm one of those people that does click on the ads. So even though I'm fucking broke, but
Same
I
girl.
remember like 10
Yeah.
years ago, ads were terrible, and now they are annoyingly good.
I know. Does
It's like,
anyone else
oh,
get
this
those?
shiny thing, this shiny thing.
Does anyone else get those Virilus ads with like the really cute boots and like skirts and trans stuff? And they're like these like $400 like custom made boots. And
I kind of need that because I have big clod hoppers. I have a hard time finding food.
There's a
Luck-
place called Adelante Shoes that does custom shoes with like cute little ankle boots and stuff like that, and they work with larger sizes. And they even do with like people with feet with different sizes, like different size foot for left and right feet or something like that. And they'll work with you to like get measurements, and they're very, very reasonably priced, and they do like ethical labor practices too.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Nice.
My
y'all, I have
size
I have
15 and a half.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Really?
I was gonna say my size 15 and a half feet are gonna have to look into that.
they would fit.
Oh, I thought I was in, suffering because I need a 13 and a half or a 14.
That's easy.
Y'all, I have about 5 minutes till I have to go. So I
Yeah,
want to just
we need
if
to
I
wrap
don't
this up.
mind, I
We
would
need to
love
wrap this
to
up
tell
anyways.
you my favorite parts of that have happened to me through transition, and I can't pick
Yes.
just one. So my face has changed so much. Like, look at this thing. This is great.
You're fucking
10 out of
gorgeous.
10. Would
Yeah.
trans again. I shrunk 2 inches. I was 5'8". I'm now 5'6". My feet shrunk 2 sizes. So I was a women's size 11. I'm now a women's size 9. And
Wow.
it makes everything a lot easier.
Wow.
So I'm very, very lucky and very, very thankful. And of course, the titties are great. I'm almost at D cup right now. This is ridiculous, and they're still growing. But I'm so thankful for everything that's happened to me, and considering that I started transitioning at age 34, and my hips grew, and I grew like size C boobs like within 6 months. Ridiculous. So can't stress how magical HRT is.
It's the best.
It's so good,
One
especially if
thing
you find
on
the
the
right
HRT
doctor
thing.
and they balance it. Yeah.
We've actually, so a lot of us trans girls in Brighton, thanks to Sam, actually have progesterone in the cocktail. And it actually, well, it helps with energy levels.
I'm on it too.
And I've had bruises and also libido as well.
I started 6 months into my medical transition, and
Same.
thankfully my HRT doc is she's telehealth only, but she is a trans woman, and she was not originally putting her patients on progesterone, but after seeing what it did for me, she was like, I'm putting everyone on this as long as they want it as part of their regular plan, because it's another main hormone. There's not just the one hormone, there's the 2 hormones that are involved with feminine and estrogen based kind of puberty. So I really lucked out.
It makes a great
And the
sleeping
first
pill
like
too.
4 or 5 years, I wasn't on it either. But when I started playing women's pro football, I had to go through a whole lot of like medical review of blood work and what was allowed and everything like that.
Sure.
And it turns out spironolactone is a banned substance according to like the NCAA. It's seen as a diuretic. It's seen as like a masking agent. So if you're using like performance enhancing drugs, it can like mask some of that stuff. And like the diuretic impacts on athletic performance as a risk. So I had to like cut that out. So as part of cutting it out, they completely changed everything up, and they added progesterone to the mix. And that's worked out well. Now they've like changed it to where you can have like a medical exemption and still take it, but I've not bothered going back. Like I'm happy where things are. So yeah, leave it alone. Don't fix what isn't broken.
What dosage are you on, Riv?
Of everything.
Of progesterone specifically? Well, yeah, but
So I have a very, very high metabolism. And it's part of kind of the autoimmune disorder I have, where I process things out of my body very quickly. So I've been testing very low on progesterone, despite being on 200 milligrams, which is kind of standard once you've already kind of transitioned onto it. And I talked to my doctor and I was like, look, I've been DIYing additional progesterone with my leftover like synthetic version I had that I kind of started on. And it's been great. And like my mood's better, I'm sleeping better, I have bigger tits. And like I finally have fat going to my butt because I have a hard time putting on weight. I'm on that side of the spectrum. I was like 100 pounds in high school and college. And so she was like, yeah, I'll put you on 300 milligrams. And life has been great. It's been about 2-3 months now on that dosage. Yeah.
all right, I think I'm gonna ask mine for mine because I'm only on 100.
Yeah, I highly recommend most folks who are trans knowledgeable in the medical field will recommend 200 milligrams.
I'm on 200.
Especially if you're, make sure you're in that range when you're getting your blood tested, of that like happy range of it. And I've always been testing like on the very low end spectrum until now. So,
well, girls, I have to get to a photo gig, so sounds like Riv has to get going.
Yeah, I need to
I
get
have a
back to
meeting in
work.
2 minutes.
So thank you everyone for joining us. This was a fun, just kind of nice break from our norm. Once again, I don't know what our next episode is going to be. I never do. I don't even know if we're ever going to have one on the right recording day or what. So, but does anyone have a closing thought?
I am the closing thought.
Mic drop.
And with that, she's gone.
Whoa, that was impressive.
I just want to say it was great. I think I'm connected to most of you. So it was great to see you kind of in person, virtual, and to talk and to learn more about you.
Same here. Thank you all.
Likewise. Thank you all so much.
And with that terrible disappointment, it's time to end.
If
Taryn got
something
it.
like this happened
Taryn
again,
got
I would
it.
totally be interested in this again, because this was a lot less scary than I was expecting it to be.
It's
All right.
not bad. We're not that scary. So
I was told this was going to be a horny episode.
So that's true. We didn't do as much horny as we might.
yeah,
have.
I'm probably gonna have to edit out the part where I said it was supposed to be horny, but or maybe I won't. I don't know.
Just because it's truth in advertising,
I
right?
mean, I'm still recording this now too, so you know.
You do
Well,
so you get that thirst pod, everybody's on it because it's horny.
Yeah.
Nothing about horniness, right? So nothing about sex or anything like that. So I mean, you're luring them in a little bit. So
Yeah.
a good
You know.
sign.
Well, now they're listening to this part and they're like, well, we stayed to the very end. Maybe something sexy will happen. Maybe like Vanessa will show her
Well, we
tits
can
or
all
something.
flash. Yeah.
oh my. I have to drop. Thank you all again so much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Have a good one. Thank you everyone for joining us in Transcending Humanity. Bye bye.